Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mayple webinar. Today, we're going to talk about a very exciting topic. And I'm sure you all saw the surprising combination, or not surprising, between AI and Google Ads, and how you can leverage AI for you to be able to optimize your Google Ads campaigns. So, as usual, we're bringing you the sharpest minds out of the 1,000 best experts in the marketing industry. And today we have Michael with us. Hi, Michael.
Hello, how are you? Hi, everybody.
Good. How are you?
Doing great. Doing great. Excited to start talking about this.
Yeah, I'm super excited to hear and learn, of course. So AI, I think it's obviously the buzzword today, and everyone is kind of looking for new ways to use it for their own benefits. I know I've played around with the ChatGPT as well. How do you see it, from your perspective?
You talking to me?
Yes.
The audience. So let's get started. Like, there's so much that you could go on and on about with ChatGPT and with all of the different AI software that's out there now. I want to keep it as closed topic as possible, just to make sense of it in the short time that we have. But suffice it to say, it's a really exciting time for anybody, especially those of us who work digitally, because so much of what it can do is to help save time and help us to make more profits by doing so. So let me get started with the slideshow, if that makes sense for everyone.
Sure. Thank you, and good luck. Super excited to hear that.
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's just make sure that my screen is sharing properly. Everyone seeing it? Okay, looks like that's the case. All right, so again, thank you for the introduction. I want to go through how to transform Google Ads with AI. There are, again, so many different ways of using AI. I wanted to pick a topic that made sense for, I think, the average business owner. So to get started, more than anything, I want to give just kind of an overview of what AI can do. And it's an exciting and scary time, I think, for a lot of people. Exciting, why? Because there are so many ways of using AI in terms of being able to kind of externalize our thoughts and actions like never before. To be able to use machine learning to help us with these mundane tasks, and to even calculate big data in ways that small businesses just couldn't in the past. So I think for that reason alone, any new technology is going to make people excited. Why scared? I'm not going to get into the existential reasons for why people may be frightened of it. I think a lot of it has to do with the unknown, but mostly because people don't want to get left behind, right? They hear about these new technologies and they think, is this going to, one, affect my career, my job, my business? And what if I don't learn this? Is that going to be a hindrance on what we can do? So it's exhilarating for a lot of people one way or another, whether you are really excited in a positive sense or in a negative sense. A lot of what I want to go over is to demystify the idea of ChatGPT, so that it's not a scary thing. It's just another tool in your toolbox that you can use. So just a quick blurb on myself. I've been in digital marketing in one form or another for about 18 years. I have worked from the freelance position when I first started to being vice president of digital marketing for Medical Alert Foundation, and then finally starting my own agency. I've worked across the board in all different channels. And I had gotten really excited about AI from the onset. Once we found out about it, we kind of jumped in with both feet, trying to figure out how we can use it to simplify a lot of our tasks and to kind of power up those things that we do and that we feel that we do well. By the way, I'm seeing comments saying go to stage. Are you not able to see my screen? If that's not the case. Okay, maybe those are old. So, disclaimer, there are so many different possible ways of talking about this stuff. I wanted to make this a basic understanding to begin. So I'm going to go through a lot of basic tips revolving a lot around content. There are other really sophisticated ways that I'm going to touch upon at the end on how to use ChatGPT, but suffice it to say, this is one of many ways to use it. It's not exhaustive, so just something to keep in mind. Okay, overview on discussion for today. I'm going to go through the fundamentals of Google Ads for those who are maybe even still on a learning curve with that. Just an intro into what AI is and specifically ChatGPT, and then how to use it to power up your Google Ads. Okay, so at its essence, Google Ads, as you probably know, is a search engine advertising vehicle. At its essence, you're paying for traffic by bidding on keywords. The idea is to connect with potential customers who are actively searching for relevant offerings. So if I search for restaurants near me, I'm going to get results that are both organic and that are sponsored or paid for. And the way that you do this is you are paying for or bidding upon keywords on a pay per click model, meaning when people click on the ad, then you get charged. And then, hopefully they'll get to your site or your offering or whatever it is that you may be. It's a cost-effective method. It allows you to target your audience, and it gives you analytics that you can measure and optimize for. One of the top things that I always really want to stress is that sometimes people get so in love with the traffic aspect or the click-through or the cost per click that they forget the real point of this, and that's to achieve an ROI. That should be your number one metric. So when you're starting off, this is an example of a model that I would create for a client on how to figure out, based on your general metrics of what's your cost per click on average, what are your conversion rates and your click-through rates, what are your lead to opportunity rates if you're not running, say, an e-commerce business and you're getting leads that you would then have to close upon. If you are an e-commerce, then you go right to the close rate and see how many of the people that land are going to be purchasing your goods or services. And then from that, you can kind of calculate how much you're going to spend, how many impressions or eyeballs are going to see your ads, how many clicks you can expect, what kind of lead you'll get, and then those market qualified or MQL leads. Finally, to sales. And then through that, you can say, all right, I can expect to spend, say, $250 per acquisition. I should have this for an annual budget, and that is going to get me this much in annual sales. So once you've kind of calculated that out, then you should really begin. For some people, it won't work because their cost per acquisition or CAC is going to be cost prohibitive, right? If you're selling t-shirts for $30 and you've got a CPA of $250, not going to be the right move for your business. In this model, if you're selling, say, a machine for $5,000, okay, that makes sense. So always plan beforehand before setting up your campaigns. Other factors to consider, how much volume for search your keywords are going to add up to be. You need a certain volume, to go back to that model, of eyeballs for the numbers to work as you are taking percentages of percentages. You should factor in cost per click because it is important, but don't be so mindful of the cost per click that you lose out on cost per acquisition. So for example, if you're paying $20 for a certain keyword, but it's converting at a high rate, it's going to be more cost effective than a $2 keyword that never converts at all. High relevance of keyword, being able to match what you do with the things people are searching for, and then how competitive those keywords are. If you're in a competitive market, you will see your cost per click continue to rise, and that may affect whatever initial models you've created. So the basic building blocks of a Google Ads campaign are largely content-based. They are keyword research, the ad creation, and then the landing page that you're sending these people to, or product page if it's an e-commerce. This is going to be important. I'm going to get back to that once we are done introducing AI. So what exactly is ChatGPT? So I asked ChatGPT to describe itself for us. And what it tells us is that it is a state-of-the-art data learning model designed to generate human-like text. It uses a transformer architecture to understand and generate text based on input. What a lot of this means is that this is what's known as a LLM, or large language model system. It's not really artificial intelligence. It's a misnomer. It is not cogent. It can't think of things. It responds to stimuli, and those stimuli, without going into the deep science here, are what we call prompts. So the possibilities of these are endless, but there are parameters, and there are ways to use it correctly and to use it in a way that might get you into trouble. So as I mentioned before, ChatGPT cannot think. It cannot reason. Don't ask it to help you figure something out about your life. It may not give you the best answer. It works via prompt. Prompt creation, this is an interesting side note in terms of like the businesses that have been created from the AI revolution, which are what people are now referring to as prompt engineers, people who create prompts that give a reliable output, which is kind of interesting in and of itself. These are as jealously guarded as secret IP. Like if you come up with a really solid prompt, it's not something you want to share. It's something you could actually monetize. So trying to find good prompts is a way to get successful results. But also be skeptical of the accuracy of the information. You may find that there are inherent biases just by how things have been programmed. Data can often be outdated. There actually is a plugin now that will scrape the web currently, but I haven't found it to be excellent in terms of the results I've gotten back. Ultimately, if you ever remember the short story or the Simpsons episode about the monkey's paw, I like to think of this a lot in that when you ask the monkey's paw for a wish, if you were vague in any way, you're going to get a negative result. So if you are wishing upon a monkey's paw and you don't wish with real clarity, you're going to get possibly a negative surprise. And I think you can think that way about ChatGPT. Try to be absolutely clear in how you are asking the questions for it to respond to. This is a prompt that I use very often. It's known as the RASCF prompt framework. So as you're typing this in, you're going to say, this is the role that I want you to perform as. So if we're doing Google Ads, we might say a digital marketer or a Google Ads specialist. The action that we want to create. So we may say something like create a, in this case, Twitter thread content plan. You give it the steps that you want it to do, some sort of context, which is made even more powerful by a new addition to ChatGPT-4, the paid version, which allows for the uploading of different either TXT or CSV files that it can read and then understand, to give examples of that. And you can put those examples again in like a TXT file for it to read, and then the format that it will come out as. LLMs are best at least with respect to what we're talking about, low cost content creation and translation. So if you're doing, say, a Spanish language or another foreign language, it does really well in terms of translation. To ask for general knowledge inquiries, things that you are just curious about, you should still be skeptical and you should verify, but it gives good, quick assessments of different subjects that you can then read through and factor into what you're doing, and data analysis, which I'll get to in a little bit. Okay, so with that background, let's go into the meat of the presentation, which is how to use ChatGPT with Google Ads to make it more powerful, easier to use, and hopefully more profitable. So again, going back to the earlier slide of the three main building blocks of keyword research, ad creation, and landing page design. One thing that I really want to focus on that I don't hear a lot of people often talk about when it comes to Google Ads, and that's quality score. Quality score, if you're not aware, is a metric that Google gives to keywords to assess how the level of quality of any given keyword in that campaign. So it's a scale of 1 to 10. And what it really tries to factor is, if I'm searching for something, are you going to give me the best possible result with respect to how I'm asking for it, and then not only with the ad, but with the page that the ad leads to. I'm sure this has happened to many of you once upon a time, where you do a search, you see an ad that seems to reflect what you're looking for, you click on that ad, and it takes you to a page that has nothing to do with what you searched for. What do you normally do? You will probably leave that page and either do another search or look farther down on the search results page. So in order to minimize that, Google tries to incentivize making a quality connection between those 3 points of search keyword, ad, landing page. And it does that through quality score. These are a couple of other factors that they look for. So expected click-through rate based on the history, the ad relevance, and then the landing page experience. These all are factors that go into quality score. So how does this affect the campaign? You get better results if you have higher quality scores. You have lower costs, which is to say you're actually penalized for having low quality. So if you are bidding on a keyword with somebody who has a 10 out of 10 for that keyword, and you have a 4 out of 10, 9 times out of 10, he's going to place higher than you are, and he's probably going to be paying less per click than you are. So it's really important, and again, overlooked aspect of Google Ads. So one way to do this is to, from the onset, make sure there's a deep connection between those 3 points while you're creating your campaign. And this is absolutely something that ChatGPT can help with. Okay, so step 1, keyword research. One of the best things for us in this industry, because keyword research is an exhaustive process that we never really stop. We're always looking for good keywords that are going to both reflect what our clients are working on, what their businesses are, whether they are transactional, whether they're informational, where on the funnel, that is to say, are they, and how we can create new campaigns that are going to get them an edge on the competition that we are competing against. So we normally are going to be looking at competition. We're going to be generating thousands upon thousands of keywords to sort through, and then we're going to assess the relevance and the volume of each keyword. So if I'm trying to, going back to that earlier model of how many eyeballs I need to get, if I'm looking to get, say, 100,000 impressions a month for my campaign, I need to make sure that the keywords in my campaign add up to 100,000 or so searches per month. So these are all things that we need to do. And normally they're done through tools, but they're done very manually. There are a lot of plugins that ChatGPT has now given the ability to use. I want to touch upon this because some of them are good. I've tried. Some of them are not so good. Some of them cost money. I definitely encourage people to do their own research on these plugins to see if they help. But always be skeptical, especially for a lot of these. Some of them are pop-ups. They exist, and then they go away in terms of support. One that has been kind of an open source model that has really been useful for our team is AI PRM. This is a tool that has, at this point, over 4,000 different prompts. So basically, when I'm talking about prompt creation, if you click on one of these, it will generate a prompt for you based on what the description is and what they're talking about. So in this case, they're saying create high converting Facebook ad copy. This will allow you to do this. So the following of what I'm going to go through is a campaign that I created specifically for this presentation. I think I spent about 15 minutes in total doing everything from soup to nuts. So just to show you how quickly a campaign can be built using these tools. So the next, I hate doing live demonstrations because they never work. So I did a quick video of a service. I live in Miami, Florida. So, and my daughter is now going to swim class. I did a campaign as if I'm trying to promote a swim lessons business in Miami, Florida. So you can see I use this tool, ARPIM. I click on the prompt, and then I just type in as a keyword, swimming lessons in Miami. That's my core idea, my top keyword. And you'll see that it is going to create it in table format. So already it's giving me the cluster or group, the keyword itself, the search intent, whether it's commercial, informational, a title, and description that I could potentially use for an ad campaign. In this case, it's kind of SEO based, but SEO and PPC are really two sides of the same coin. They're both doing the exact same thing. One is just paid and one is organic. But this kind of process makes this work so much easier than it was done in the past. And you're able to copy and paste it as if it were a CSV file. So what this has allowed me to do is to create these groups of keywords. And if you remember, it had that section of groups. So these can now be my ad groups. In Google Ads, as you may be familiar, you have ads that create ad groups, and those ad groups have ads that represent those ad groups, and then those go to landing pages. So we can create tight groups of keywords related around this common theme, and we can generate those themes or organize those keywords into ad groups automatically, which I have done in the past, where I've taken thousands of keywords that we pulled manually, we put it into ChatGPT, and then we had them organize them into ad groups for us so that they were able to produce a CSV that had these already organized. So you can see some of this here in this group. I was able to sort it so that I've got all of these in my different ad groups. Pro tip. If you're not using Google Ads Editor, I recommend downloading it. It's a free tool Google offers. The reason I bring it up is because if you're using the online version of Google Ads, it can make it more time consuming to copy and paste CSV. If you use Google Ads Editor, you can automatically upload all of this stuff, whether it's keywords or ad groups or ads. It's much simpler to work with CSV in Google Ads Editor. So if you're not using it, download a version, makes things a lot faster. Apologies. Okay. Talking about ad creation next. I mentioned Code Interpreter before. This is, again, part of the paid version, which I believe it's $20 a month for ChatGPT 4. It allows for the uploading of documents. It uses Python and some other tools to both analyze data and create data visualization, which I'll get into in a second. And it allows you to carry out specific instructions within a controlled environment, such as mathematical calculations or simple tasks. So in this is an output example. Here's my follow-up from the keywords that I had them generate. I exported it into a CSV, and then I re-uploaded it. Apologies. I re-uploaded it into ChatGPT, so you can see the attached file. And then I gave it a prompt saying, organize the keywords in the CSV in column A into ad groups for a prospective PPC campaign. And so it did so. As you can see, the red circle refers to the CSV copy that I could just download. And below that is the example it gives. So you can see the campaign, the ad group, the landing page, or the given title, headlines for the ad, the descriptions therein. So if you're familiar with Google Ads and you know that they've switched to a responsive ad model for the most part, at least with respect to text ads, that you could, again, just copy and paste this, put it into Ads Editor, and you're done with your ads. It makes things so easy and quick. Last part of this particular section is going to be landing page optimization. So one of the things that I think people are most enamored about with ChatGPT is the ability to create content. I'm going to talk a little bit outside of Google Ads for this, because sometimes people have seen it as kind of a magic bullet for all of their content needs. And I would be a little bit hesitant when doing so. I think it's great for things like if you're doing email, you can get a good first draft. For our purposes here of a landing page, excellent. Don't use it for SEO. At least if you're using it for SEO, don't just copy and paste, because Google is already flagging content that they can detect as AI. There are some giveaways or red flags, as you might call them. And Google is not looking to send people to solely AI generated content, at least not yet. So be wary when using it for other services. For something like creating a landing page, which if you do it the way I do it, you're not going to index your landing page. You're going to create this specifically for one of those ad groups that we've come up with. I always create a landing page for a unique ad group. So if I have a campaign and I've got 10 ad groups, I'm going to create 10 landing pages, even if they're for the same product. In this case, what I've done is I gave a prompt of, you're a PPC specialist working with Google Ads. Your goal is to create the highest quality score for your campaign keywords. You need to create a content for a landing page. The name of the ad group is children and baby swimming lessons. The keywords in this ad group are, and so on. The results, they give me the content that I'm looking for. And again, you may want to read through it and edit it, but the results for a landing page are fantastic. And the next step, now that I've got my content, is to create a landing page. You may have an in-house web dev who you can just pass this along to. If you don't, there is another AI tool that I'd like to recommend called Headline. You can find it at headline.com. And what you can do is you can just dump that text into different components. So you can see here, we've got a hero, a feature, content, et cetera, et cetera. You can copy and paste those sections from your Google, from your landing page output, and you can put them into this tool. And the results are pretty good. So this came out, again, I think I put this together in about 3 minutes. I did no UI editing on it whatsoever. And it gives me the headline, the tag, different aspects of it that I can use. You might want to change out the image, but the plans for what I'm looking for were, I can edit this as well. All in a matter of seconds are you able to put all of this stuff together, and then you can make small editing changes. So just to recap, in about a 10 to 15 minute span of time, I was able to pull relevant keywords for the business I'm looking to optimize for, was able to group those into ad groups and then create ads for each of those ad groups. And then I was able to create a landing page for one of those ad groups. And the time that it would take me to do the rest of them would be similar. So you could do in about a half hour's time the work that would have taken a team of about 3 to do in maybe a day or 2. Pretty cool stuff. So what else can AI do? I want to go through a couple of the more exciting things, at least for me and my team, of what we are looking to use ChatGPT for and other AI. One is to use it for A/B testing. So leveraging AI to run efficient A/B tests and making data-backed decisions. A lot of this is going to require kind of a step up in sophistication from the stuff that we've been talking about, where you can actually integrate ChatGPT with your Google Ads. You can also integrate it with spreadsheets and using API so that you're able to pull metrics and you're able to read those metrics in ostensibly real time. To do performance analysis, so using the analytical capabilities to monitor these campaigns and make adjustment strategies for you. And as I was kind of referring to, integrating ChatGPT into your Google Ads campaign, allowing you to create different data models, creating data visualization charts, and automating bid improvements. Some of the most useful tools that I have found thus far with respect to data have been using that code interpreter. So to give one example, we took the data from a campaign, which was kind of a complex campaign in that there are multiple levels. If we go back to my earlier chart of having contacts and then lead to opportunity, these are all of the different potentials for this. This is a pharmaceutical testing facility of all of the different categories that a lead could fall into. And working with their CRM, we're able to pull a lot of this data and make assessments on how efficient and how effective our campaigns have been for this business. So I was able to put into this the CSV file that we exported for our campaigns that we've been pulling, and then ask them to analyze the data and then to create charts based on the data. In this case, I asked them to create a stacked bar chart over time of each breakdown following in the first column. So LVM, pre-screened, duplicates, did not qualify, bad referrals, out of state, et cetera, et cetera. And it gave me this great bar chart. The first bar chart it gave me was in different shades of green. So what I didn't put in here was I actually asked it, can you change the colors to be rainbow spectrum to be easier to read? And this was the output. So it's fascinating how quickly this can be done. If you're not, say, a Python expert or even a Google Excel, or excuse me, a Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets expert, a lot of the functions that those technologies allowed for in the past are easily done using ChatGPT. I also know that Google, for example, is testing a lot of different AI functions within something like Google Sheets, so that a lot of these functions will be built into that. And you can just ask them to do a formula and it'll pop it out for you. So all things that are going to be on the horizon. Some of them already exist, but they're in beta. There's just so many different potential for these technologies for all of the different aspects of digital marketing. Okay, so there's a lot that I've gone over here, and I actually went quicker than I did in the last practice round I did. So there's more time for questions that I'm sure there will be some of. So please feel free to ask some questions in the chat and I'll get to them.
Sometimes it takes time until all comments are shown. So until then, I have a question, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So, what are the common mistakes that people are doing when using AI for specifically for Google Ads? Where do you see the common mistakes happen?
Yeah, great question. So I think that, again, to go back to my points about um, relying too much on its ability to reason or um, do deep thinking, which it just does not do. So to ask it questions or to ask it to even sometimes to do mathematical equations just as a prompt will result in bad data. So
Yeah.
I think that if you're going to try to use it for data analysis, definitely use the code interpreter function because that is programmed to use other technologies to do so. Um, Also, in terms of writing content, ChatGPT has a lot of ticks, I guess you could call them, where they'll use words over and over again. They love to say things like in conclusion. So I definitely don't think you should copy and paste neither the ads nor the landing page content. You should definitely read through it. It's a good first draft, is how
Yeah.
we look at it, but it shouldn't be used as such. I of course demonstrated it that way here, but I don't think that that's good practice. You always want to test and to create iterations, specifically for something like an ad where you want to be doing A/B testing anyway. Create different versions, go through them, and then proceed accordingly.
Yeah.
All right, looks like some questions are coming through. Any prompts that you are aware of for YouTube ads specifically? So to go back to that tool that I use, whose name I always forget. Let me go back. It's AIPRM. It's easy to find within ChatGPT, and you can use it both for the free version and the paid version. They have YouTube. In fact, I can see right here, there's YouTube video script, but keep in mind there are 4,000 prompts in that. My apology. All right. Yeah. So YouTube video script is one of many, but they have a ton, and you can actually search within AIPRM. This is the screen that I look at when I first open ChatGPT 4, and you can do searches for different types of prompts that you use, and they can help you do everything from create video scripts to create video ads. Another tool that I didn't mention in my slideshow, which I am very pleased with, is a tool called, let me pull that up for you. Pictory.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure he's going to come back to us soon. Here's Michael. Hi. And you're back.
Yep. Of course, I hit the wrong X.
All good.
Hang on one second. As I said, that's why I usually hate doing live demonstrations. But Pictory.ai is a tool where you can actually create scripts and then put those scripts directly into it, and it will create a video for you using stock photography. It is, again, you've probably seen these on Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube. You can do artificial voice on them, and it is a it's a low cost option. You might say it's low quality as well. I think depending on your needs, it is absolutely something that I've used before to great effect, promoting things like ebooks. And we used it recently for a campaign from the state of California, and we had really good results using it. So Pictory.ai, I'm not going to go there because I don't want to lose you guys again, but it is a very cool tool. Do you think the paid version of ChatGPT is worth it? I do, for a couple of the reasons that I mentioned. You get different beta tests, such as using different plugins. You have the code interpreter, which I think is worth the cost alone. They have limited the usefulness of it in that you used to be able to use it without end. Now there's a cutoff. So that's kind of a disappointment, but it was in reaction to the huge usage of it in the beginning. So I do understand. But if you are, such as myself, using this on a regular basis, it absolutely makes sense. It's a small cost, I think, in terms of business, of what it can reduce in terms of content creation, in terms of organization. If you match up your hourly worth, if you're a small business or an entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, or even if you have a team, just calculate how much time would this normally take and factor that in for a month. I guarantee you it's going to be less than $20 a month. What is the future of digital marketing in disruptive AI technology? Just to make sure I understand the question. So, what is the future of digital marketing in the face of this disruptive AI technology? If that's the question, I think that the sky's the limit. I'm very bullish on being a digital marketer using AI because of a lot of the things that I'm talking about. I think the trick for digital marketers is always to be a thought leader, be a strategist, and not do something that is repeatable. There's an old maxim in Computer Science 101 that if it's repeatable, you can automate it. And I think that ChatGPT has taken that to the nth degree because it's able to find the repetition within complex patterns that used to be solely the propriety of individuals to be able to do. Now, you could make a case that it's more dangerous to be an accountant or even a lawyer than a digital marketer, because these are things that people can create documents like they weren't able to do before, to do their taxes like never before, because these are, while complex, repeatable actions. If you are a creative, even if you're working in digital media, if you're able to think, that is still the domain of humans that AI is not able to get to. Again, these are not thinking machines. They are responsive to stimuli. The words that come out in response to the words that came before it. So, which it's brilliant, but it's, again, devised by humans. So I'm very bullish on it. We as digital marketers, if you are a digital marketer, need to just say, what can we do to use this technology to take care of the repeatable actions so that we are able to think and be visionaries in the other direction. Do I use Headline for page generation? This is a better option than asking ChatGPT to mark up language to its output. Good question. So I think that this was an option that I wanted to show people that may need help across the board because they are not technical people. I personally don't use tools for AI to generate landing pages. I do use it to generate the content. But in terms of markup language, that's absolutely something. For those who aren't familiar, structured markup is a form of coding that allows for search engines to understand different sections of a page or a page itself. So you're able to use ChatGPT to help you create structured markup and then add it to your code. Whether a tool like Headline, it's a good question. I don't know if Headline incorporates that into it. It's worth checking out. But I wanted to show that as something that people who are not able to, say, create a landing page themselves, an option that they can use using a tool like ChatGPT along with an AI tool like Headline to do so for them. Any prompts for search query analysis and adding negative keywords? So The answer to that is undoubtedly yes. I have not done search query analysis. I think that's a great idea. Negative keywords as well. So what my recommendation for it would be to, for example, if you have your search terms that you're being found for, not your keyword terms that you're bidding on, but the terms that people have found you for, you can export that via CSV, and then you could add it to ChatGPT and then ask a prompt with, again, very specific language. So in the case of adding negative keywords, I would use that model of like, who am I? What am I looking to accomplish? Here is the data that I'm looking to parse, and here are the results that I would like. Test that out. I think that's a great idea. What plugin would you use for reporting Google Sheets, Zapier, and automating insights? So I use Google Sheets with Looker Studio for our reports. The way that you can use that in this case would be to, so with Google Ads, you can directly plug it in to Looker Studio, if you're familiar with that. That's the data visualization tool, formerly known as Google Studio, and then they bought a company called Looker, which does really good data visualization. And it's pretty easy to use. It's very simple to connect the data source with the output. I think that's, and there are a lot of out-of-the-box templates that you can use if you're not too familiar with Looker Studio. If you want to get a little bit more advanced, you can put it into a Google Sheet and then use Google Sheet as is if you like how it looks. If this is something that you're presenting to either a client or to management and you feel that Google Sheets is a little too raw, then you can plug Google Sheets into Looker Studio as your data source. But in terms of using Zapier, I think Supermetrics is a better connector for Google Ads and Google Sheets, just because it's built into it already. But Zapier would absolutely work as well. How does ChatGPT compare to AnyWord, Copy AI, AI Creative, etc. for creating ad copy? Any platforms you recommend? So the one that I've been using the most, aside from ChatGPT, is, of course, like I had even written this down earlier. I'm blanking out on it. Hopefully it'll come to me, but I believe it starts with a Q. If somebody can help me out there, let me see if I can find it real quick. I like Bard. I think Bard is getting better. It had a bad rollout, but it's definitely useful. I still have found, like, I've done comparisons where I've had different ones open and I asked different questions just to see what the results would be. And honestly, the ChatGPT 4 that I've done has, in my estimation, with the little research that I've done in that kind of head-to-head comparison, I found to be useful. So there's just a question pop up. Have I tried Bard? Yeah, I think Bard is a really good option as well. What I like still about ChatGPT 4 is that because it's been out the longest, I think a lot of the kinks have been worked out. I've read articles on how people think it is actually getting worse. That has not been my personal experience, especially with content creation. I like the content that comes out. You can adjust content by asking it to speak in, say, the form of, you can say a professional voice, or you can say a friendly voice. These are all different ways that you can kind of modify the tone and the text that comes out. So there are a ton of different AIs out there. I definitely recommend testing them. Don't take my word for it. But I have time and time again gone back to ChatGPT, call it a comfort level at this point, but I just like the results. Will there be any negative impact in ChatGPT ad creation? Great question. None that I have come across in any of my experience, and I've been using it to create ads for at least 4 to 5 months, maybe even longer. We started using it around Christmas time, I think it came out, and I think I jumped on it right away in terms of usage. I still have really successful campaigns running with solely ChatGPT generated content. Again, with the asterisk that we do read through them and edit them. I don't just blindly copy and paste. But I have not seen any negative results from any of these campaigns that we've run. Will it be potential future? I highly doubt it, because you're limited to so few characters in a text ad for Google Ads that the telltale signs aren't there. If you're basically reduced to subject, verb, object with these text creations, that it's not going to be like, oh, this is a generative text. It's just going to be something that's efficient. And the more of those that you can create, the harder it's going to be for even Google to say, oh, this is not quality because it's generated. I don't think that's how the PPC model really works. They're basing it on how much it's being clicked. So if you're getting a high click-through rate on an ad, doesn't seem like it would matter how it was generated. Follow up on reporting question. Can I import performance data in ChatGPT, then use a plugin within it like Google Sheets to auto-generate a report and write insights? Okay, great. This is absolutely the stuff that we're working on right now on how to best integrate all these different platforms. The short answer is yes. Maybe someday this is another webinar that we can talk about, because I'm still kind of in the R&D phase with this stuff. So I don't want to discuss things that are things that we're working on. But the short answer is absolutely that you're able to use ChatGPT API, Google Ads API to plug them into a universal source such as Google Sheets, and then do any sort of math in that sheet that you could then export to some sort of data visualization tool. So absolutely. How can AI help tailor ad content, targeting, and delivery to different audience segments, ultimately leading to higher engagement and conversion rates? Fantastic question. So like anything, marketing 101, you want to start with your goals, how you're going to achieve those goals with respect to your audience. So you're going to do audience research, market research, and you're going to organize these into, say we pick 3 to 5. Just for this purposes, we'll say we have 3 primary target audiences that we want to market to. We give them demographic information. We talk about what they're looking for in terms of their interests, what kind of media they consume. You can have all of this in, say, like a spreadsheet. This is how I do it anyway. Once you have all of that, then you can use that as part of your examples when creating your prompt to say, create content for target audience 1. Now, it could be the ad content. It could be the landing page content. It could be any of that. But you are making those slight adjustments based on the audience data that you have, so that you're helping to make those changes. And you can do that from the prompt section. So absolutely, you can use your audience data to inform both your ad content and your delivery. All of that stuff is eminently possible. Understanding you're playing around with this, have you successfully used the ChatGPT API for Google Ads in any capacity so far? So right now we are working with ChatGPT API into the formula. We're just pulling the data right now, and we're playing around with that data. So I've successfully connected the two. into a single source of data, but I don't have any results that I can speak to at this time. But absolutely, you can plug all of these things in. Understanding. Oh, so that was the same one. Okay. And I'll let Rakafet answer this one from Elise. I think you're on mute.
Yeah, that was me being careful before. Michael, thank you so much. I think I can speak for myself that I learned a ton out of the last hour. So thank you for that. It's been super interesting to understand how AI can really fit in within Google Ads, and it looks like from the research through the settings and testing, it can really help throughout the journey there. So again, thank you. For everyone who asked, you can hire Michael or any other of our experts through the Mayple platform. I shared the link. I will share it again. You can schedule a meeting with the team, so we'll be able to understand the needs there. Schedule a meeting with our expert, with Michael, and then work together. We also shared a promo code here on the chat, which gives you $250 off our monthly services. So that's another thing to use specifically and exclusively for the attendees of this webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Join us. We are going to be live every week with another exciting topic, which is led by one of the sharpest minds in the marketing industry. So keep in touch. Join us in our next webinars. Michael, thank you so much.
It was a pleasure. Thank all of you for coming. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, guys. Looking forward to seeing you in our next one. Bye-bye.